Okay, so it's 8:55. We'll try to run through this within a half an hour and get out before 9:30. First question. Under Robert's rules, where does the power and influence of an organization reside?
With the body populace.
Body populace. I would agree. Any other comments, questions, or suggestions?
With the members, I think it's the same thing.
Yes, members, body populace. Yes. Yep. Y'all are absolutely correct. In addition to that, I added the chairperson, just because, not to say the chairperson has the power and influence, but they do, in a sense, have a level of power and influence, being able to coordinate the flow and acknowledging members. So, membership based on majority rule, that's the basis and foundation of Robert's rules as well as a democracy. Minority rights protected. Cornerstone of Robert's rules, decisions are made by the majority vote, ensuring collective will of the members prevail. So everything should go through the collective decision making of the body through a majority rule. However, rules also meticulously protect the rights of the minority to be heard, to present their views, and to ensure proper procedure is followed, even if the opinion doesn't ultimately carry the vote. So we have to also honor and respect the voices of each individuals, as long as they are, within the rules and realms of Robert's rules and general respect. But yes, y'all got that. Generally, the membership, but also chairperson or the presiding officer as the facilitator. They call to order, enforce rules, recognize speakers. It's their responsibility to stay on topic and time, addressing points of order, ensuring fairness and addressing minority rights. So, but yeah, membership is the general right answer. Anybody know the origin of Robert's rules? It wasn't really discussed here, but something we had to look up outside of tonight, well, outside of this presentation. Anybody know the origin?
Well, no, he did mention it that General Robert had held a meeting. It went 9 hours.
Okay.
Wasn't very productive, so he put together rules based off of baseball, I believe.
Yes, yes. Anybody know when that meeting took place, where it took place, what was the topic or not topic, but what type of meeting it was? I, to my understanding, I think 1863. Got to verify that number, but I'm sure it's 1800s. San Francisco, I believe, was the location. General Robert, I forgot his whole name. I should know that. He was a military engineer, I believe. But he was, as Brother Israel said, he was going to chair a meeting, oversee a meeting, and it was very unproductive and disorganized. Coming out of that, he wished to develop a standard process, and that's how we got to Robert's rules. Disorganized meetings, standard rules for meetings anywhere, and organized process. So, whether we're in California, Virginia, Georgia, Florida, New York, Illinois, Texas, we can have a standard process. Questions, comments so far? Purpose. What's the purpose of Robert's rules? It's a few items here, but we'll
To
talk about
provide structure
structure. I could agree with
to the
that.
organization,
What about the organization?
to provide structure.
Provide structure. Okay, thank you, Chaplain Mitchell. I can agree with that.
My the vice chair of my party is an attorney and a Robert Rules nerd, and the way he explained it when we were forming our party, our political party, was that it is a way to provide for people who don't get along to be
Mm,
able to have conversations. That
wow.
if you all get along, you all agree, there's never a need for Robert's Rules and Order, but it's so that even enemies can have a productive meeting if necessary.
I think that's very well said. Anyone wish to add to that? assure fairness or ensure fairness, facilitate deliberation. So even if we don't like each other, we disagree, we still have a process to facilitate discussion, and improve decision making. And I also added fair voting. So, every individual having a voice to address and give their opinion on each concern. Questions, comments, purpose of Robert's rules. What standard meeting process has officially been adopted by the UNIA-ACL?
Have a guess.
What do you think?
Robert's Rules of Order, right?
You would
I,
think, good, great answer. I'll get to it. This wasn't in the video, but it's something for us to think about. None officially. When you look at the Constitution, there's no word Robert or rules. I mean, Robert in general. So, not officially. We do unofficially use some of the principles, but I think the fact that it's not officially documented allows us to kind of work around the rules that we don't like. Um, so we don't really have an official process, but we do utilize components of Robert's rules. And formality, we must understand formality is not always required. So if we only got 4 or 5 people, we don't need to be making motions and seconding motions, all that. Questions, comments on
I was
uh,
just gonna say, brother, to put try to put a bow on it. When my very sort of leftist party was rejecting Roberts because they felt it was too tyrannical and they were now double the time it should have taken him to get through it. What Mike told them was there are organizations where everybody is an enemy and they get more done than you do as friends.
Woo, that's powerful. I don't even have to say nothing else to that. I think we understand that very well. So, yes, we have to have a standard process, follow that process, and be respectful to the rights of membership. In regards to a meeting, do Robert's rules or bylaws take precedence? Which ones take precedence? If bylaws say, um, you know, you can only speak twice, but Robert rules, may allow you to speak more than twice. Which one applies or has precedence?
I may answer.
Dr. Kuda,
Bylaws.
bylaws. I think somebody in the chat as well. Sister Cecily, you can speak up. Bylaws, yes. And did we hear in the video what supersedes the bylaws?
Point. Well, I don't know. This is a guess. Point of order. He did say that was important.
It is, but from a standard legal or legitimate process, you have the bylaws to structure the meeting. You have the Robert's rules to structure a meeting. Your bylaws supersede Robert's rules, but there was something else that was mentioned in the video that superseded the bylaws.
Essentially, the will of the people.
No, in a sense, but it's a legal entity.
Oh, like when he was saying the state power of Congress.
Absolutely, yes.
Got you,
State
got you.
laws, and then obviously we work up to Constitution. But understanding that structure of authority at the end of the day, and even as a UNIA, we must acknowledge that, and Mr. Garvey speaks about that as acknowledging and having a relationship, a positive, charitable, humanitarian relationship with your governing authorities. So for us, it's Georgia. Other states have different state laws that would override or supersede their local bylaws. Guess I could show that. Bylaws take precedence over Robert's rules. Great answer. What is acceptable for yes and no in vote according to RONR? And what does RONR stand for? But what's the acceptable yes and no statements in Robert's rules?
Yay
Simply,
and no.
Yes, yeah. I think they said I officially, but yay, I, and no. Not yes and not nay. I, yay, I, and no. Yay and I would be a yes, and then no would be
I
no.
thought I thought we said the yay is not acceptable. It's yes or no.
No, it was I or
Yeah,
no. He said nay. He said nay was not acceptable, but I would challenge him on that. I've never heard that. Maybe dated. But in any case, what he said in the video was I and no, and that you should not use the term nay. He
Right,
didn't say anything about yay.
right. Okay. Thank you for that clarification, Brother Israel. That's minor. That's not anything to have a point of order over, but just acknowledgement. And do we remember what RONR stood for? I think I put that in here. I believe it's rules of order.
Robert's Rules of Order, new edition,
Rules of order newly revised.
newly revised. Okay.
Well, that's if you see that acronym, or if we want to shorten it up, RONR, Rules of Order newly revised. What is the role of a parliamentarian?
To advise the chair.
Advise the chair. I think that's pretty. Yep. Advise the chair of the meeting, president chair of proper proceedings. Or yeah, if the chair, yeah, I guess they would be asking about proper proceedings. So yes, advise the chair of the meeting is the role of the parliamentarian. We don't have an official parliamentarian in the UNIA, but just something to be aware of. Questions, comments, parliamentarian.
Let's just say I think like a referee, right? Balls and strikes.
Yeah, but that's from a internal standpoint. I don't think we have. I think that's all rolled up to the chair for us.
Well, technically, it is the chair's decision. So the parliamentarian would advise the chair, but ultimately the chair makes that call.
Okay. Yeah, I know, but from a structural standpoint, and I'm thinking from a leadership, high executive council standpoint, I don't think we have a parliamentarian. I believe it's just the chair that kind of makes all decisions and advises themselves. But no, it gets advice from peers in the council, I would assume. But my point is, we don't have an official parliamentarian, but their role would be to advise the chair of the meeting.
On that point, President John, we are the government, am I right?
Yes, we are.
And we don't have a parliament?
We don't have a parliamentarian. Our parliament, as Dr. Tony Martin has expounded, and we can talk about that in some of the upcoming sessions. What is it? What is it? Our High Executive Council and our convention serve as our parliaments, as we have delegates traveling from different parts of the world, representing different parts of the world, as we convene that, in essence, serves as our parliament.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, good question. Um, Number 8, who else can obtain the power of the chair, and how does that happen? So we should understand the chair is the presiding officer, facilitator of the meeting. Um, Probably has the most influence as an individual outside of just our vote. So who else can obtain the power of the chair and how does this happen?
You mean like the appeal process to overturn the chair's decision?
No,
Okay.
no.
'Cause I can only think of the whole body, but I don't know.
What I understood, and we can double check the video, officer would be granted presiding rights of the meeting by the chair. Um, and we've done this internally at times where the presiding officer will delegate or authorize someone else to chair the meetings. But it comes through the chair themselves. So the chair themselves would
Yeah, the chair can essentially install a proxy.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's why I call it presiding officer granted quote unquote presiding rights by the chair. So minor, but just something to note. Again, the authority of the chair in regards to Robert's rules and parliamentary process. Next, another authority body. What are the rights of members? And there's a few of these.
They have the right to attend, a right to make new motions, a right to vote, and normally a right to speak, depending on the meeting.
All right. Brother Israel taking all the answers. Have the right to attend the meeting, so you can, as a active member, you cannot be barred from a meeting outside of any legal disciplinary actions that make motions. So all members have the right to make a motion. All members have the right to speak in a debate, and all members have the right to cast their vote and have their voices heard. Questions, comments on rights of members. We got a few more. I think we go up to like 13. No questions, comments on rights of members. Very important for us. And that applies pretty much all over from a UNIA standpoint, locally, nationally, internationally. How are meetings brought back on topic under Roberts or under rules of order newly revised? How are meetings brought back under topic? If the meeting gets off topic, how would an individual bring it back? We mentioned it. I know Brother Israel knows it, but he's trying to give y'all a chance.
No, my wife in here talking to me, and I missed the question. Now she looking at me funny.
How are meetings brought back on topic under rules of order newly revised?
Oh, well, several ways. The chair can redirect the meeting or should redirect the meeting.
Hmm.
A person can be asked to put something in the form of a motion instead of just having open discussion about it.
Hmm.
And then if there is a chair and you're off the agenda, somebody should be making sure that you're speaking on purpose, just irrespective.
Right. You're right. I think that's where we're getting into the point of order. From a diplomatic standpoint, you don't want to look like you just got an issue with everything. But point of order, let's get back on topic. As Brother Israel mentioned, request a follow-up motion. Is this a motion that you're requesting? Motion to postpone the discussion, refer it to a committee. Like, hey, we're talking about church programs. Let's refer this to our spiritual committee. Vote to table the motion. That's a great idea. We would love to do that, but let's table that motion so we can get back on topic. But I was more so, and then chair, obviously, but
No, I was going to say too, point of clarification is my favorite adversarial tool if I'm in one of those meetings. Because people will jar off and you can sort of keep them on that straight and narrow with points of clarification.
uh, got you. But yeah, more so trying to address it as from a member standpoint. What are our rights as members as we attend meetings and desire to keep the meeting on focus and time? Okay. Any other questions on bringing meetings back on topic or comments? It's an important tool. Um, How are motions made? It's very straightforward, but how are motions made? We attend the meeting, we got an idea, we heard something during the reports, we may have submitted something previously. How are motions made? It's supposed to be an easy one. Brother Israel, go ahead.
Typically, by voice. In some organizations, it's required that the motion is submitted by writing, in which case you should also always keep a copy for yourself. And then in general, once a motion is made, I move that we
Mhm.
do Qigong every week. Normally there's a call for a second, and then if not, if there's no discussion, a call for a vote.
Absolutely. Very well said. Seek acknowledgement from the chair as always. Resolutions may be required in writing. Motions must be second. So you want to make a motion to, as Brother Israel said, to have a program weekly. So you basically acknowledge, seek acknowledgement from the chair and request your motion clearly. And we recommend in writing so that it can, you can reinforce it and if it make sure it's not reworded. After that, it usually be seconded. Seconded is not always required, but for us, typically require seconds. Following the second, there'll be a brief debate or any questions for clarification, and then vote and the results of the vote. So very straightforward process. There are a few steps to it, but we should understand, A, B, C, D, and not allow individuals to just jump from A to D. Okay, you make a motion, second it, all right, let's vote. Like, nah, hold on, wait, we ain't had no discussion. Okay, couple more questions. Make sure. Yeah, just two more questions. Or three more questions. I got one written down. How are rules of order newly revised? How are they violated? Robert's rules. What are some of the things that the instructor mentioned as far as common violations of rules of order?
I think we talked about one earlier, the I and nay um, was outdated or antiquated.
Yeah. Yeah, yep, you're right. Yep, he did mention that. Anyone else? How are the rules violated? Authority, the chair, overstepping their authority or intimidating members. The understanding that the board is subordinate to the assembly in most cases. So as we establish the assembly, the majority assembly is the guiding body and not the executive group or the chair. When speak, address the chair only. So we shouldn't be speaking to each other or speaking to other board members. We should be addressing the chair when we speak. So, and members do not speak without receiving the floor. So, as you address the chair, be acknowledged to receive the floor. Only one motion at one time. So, having multiple motions. Chair cannot enter into debate, so I guess that's a general principle of Robert's rules. And the chair is not generally supposed to engage in debate, but that seems to be violated. And then proxy voting not allowed. So having the assumption that proxy voting is not allowed unless it's explicit in the bylaws, that seems to be something that's been violated. Any questions or comments on some of the common violations of Robert's rules? Okay. Second to last, what is an appeal? And this is where we're talking about the chair. What is an appeal? Why would we make an appeal or why would someone make an appeal?
An appeal is a request from a member to overrule the ruling of the chair by invoking the entire body to cast a majority vote on the chair's ruling.
Yes, absolutely, Brother Israel. So the chair makes a ruling. We appeal to the chair, and have a brief debate, respectful debate, and allow the body to decide whether the chair or you are right or wrong. But there's an official process to appeal the decision of the chair. And last question, what is the purpose of a point of order generally?
It's an inquiry made from a member when they feel like the room is or the meeting is being conducted or comported outside of the rules of order.
Yes, absolutely. To address a broken rule, in short. But yes, that's when we should have a point of order. Shouldn't just be point of order. I got a question about something else. It should be point of order. This rule is being broken. Any
That's why
questions?
for you, President John, I would recommend looking at points of clarification.
Uh-huh.
Because points of order and appeals are a lot more aggressive and tougher to use, but a person will use a point of clarification all night.
Clarification. Understand, I got to see it in practice because I'm thinking when we have the debate portion, that's usually when we address, are we clear or what's the word?
Point
Under.
of clarification, it wouldn't would it be debate or discussion? Point of clarification, when you say we, are you talking about the UNIA-ACL or are you talking about we as Black people? You can
Ooh.
point of clarification anything.
Okay. I like how you made that very, very clear. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I've got, brothers and sisters. I appreciate everyone. Again, this is just a general discussion, but this is, as looking forward, we'll have some study groups like this where we'll touch on different topics. Just briefly, Mr. Garvey teaches us or encourages us to study at least 52 subjects a year, so a different subject every week. And that's kind of what I want to bring to our study group. So we looked at parliamentary process and Robert's rules this week, and we'll see what we can do moving forward. I was thinking about a couple things. United States Constitution came to mind. A little bit of psychology, but psychology's so broad. But just a couple things, and we'll talk about it as a body if there's something in particular, or if someone else wishes to make a presentation on Tuesday, that's fine as well. And I also encourage that.
I was just gonna say, if you're tackling the Constitution, it might be cool to go for the Declaration of Independence first.
Hmm. I make a motion that study group, we address the Declaration of Independence of the United States. But no, that's a joke.
I second. It has been properly moved and seconded. No, no,
Wow. Wow. But yeah, that's I mean that's an idea. That's something we'll look at. That's a good idea, actually. We should also, with that, just a note, investigate and study your Declaration of Rights of Negro Peoples of the World as well. Ratified August 13th, 1920. 12 complaints and 54 declarations from the UNIA-ACL. But we'll talk about that we talk about that yearly on a study group, on a mass meeting. So I think in August, the first mass meeting of August, we'll talk about that.
that's interesting because you said 52, because I believe it's 26 accusations against King George and the American Declaration of Independence.
No, we got 12 complaints, 54 declarations.
Ah, okay. There's 26 complaints against King George.
Okay. Yeah.
One of which was supposed to be for slavery, but they ultimately voted that out of the original declaration, but it was written for the crime of taking the people from their land who had done him no harm and forcing them into slavery. But
Wow.
yeah,
Mm-mm-mm. That's pretty cool. History is fascinating. So it's another subject that Mr. Garvey promotes us to investigate is history. So, all right, brothers and sisters, I'm not gonna hold y'all too long. I gotta get up early in the morning myself. Um, so I appreciate everyone. We will close out. Are there any questions or comments before we close? Okay. Thank you, brothers and sisters. We'll close out with our motto. If everyone could come off mute. Put your black right fist in the air. Repeat after me. One God,
one
One
God,
God,
one aim,
one
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 aim,
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 one destiny.
one
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 destiny.
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 Africa for the Africans.
Africa.
Africa
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 for
for
the
the
for the
Africans,
African.
Africans,
Those at home
Those
those
at
at
Those
home,
at
home,
home,
home
and those abroad.
and
those
those
across the
abroad.
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 Those first family.
Praise
Raise
the
her,
Praise
Lord.
first.
Black Power.